Okay. Well, that's working. And like I said, we got a few minutes to get started. So I'm gonna see if I.
1 minute
Okay.
until showtime.
All right. Let's see if I can do this real quick.
Hello.
Yeah. Hold on one
Hello.
second.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello. Hello, everybody.
Hi guys.
Okay.
Hey.
Okay. Brother Satava, you ready, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right. Is your live feed started running yet?
Your show will go live in 5 seconds.
Okay.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Blog Talk Radio.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is your host, David Murphy, with the National Black Unity News Podcast, Simulcast. Today, we have a panel of regulars that's associated with the National Black Unity News. Welcome to the call family. And we're having a little technical difficulty with the Facebook Live, but we are streaming live as we speak on YouTube, Blog Talk Radio, and other formats. And as we speak, there's some of you who have the capabilities to live stream it from your end. We would encourage you to do so. Uh, and so, as in the beginning, we're going to be discussing some things about this black contract. Well, which most of you probably have heard by now. That rapper Ice Cube had a conversation with Donald Trump about this black contract, and we just want to discuss some of the details about it. But it's nothing new under the sun, but we'll talk about that as well. But in any case, it's starting with our National Black Unity. I just want to inform everyone that the National Black Unity News last issue of the year is now in circulation online as well as a physical copy. And we encourage everyone to get your copy. That there's a lot of informative information, timely information in this publication, especially those of you who are concerned with what's taking place in this country right now, especially around voting. There's a lot of great information in this issue that can, I might say, not only inspire you, but would open your eyes a little wider and your knowledge base a little longer because we have powerful individuals who's writing from their hearts and their experience. And as always, we want to welcome our panel. We want to welcome our Facebooks and our YouTube, Blog Talk Radio, all of you. And if you want to get involved, you can contact me because we didn't put this time, we did not put the Zoom call out there because a lot of people are interested in us and not in a positive way. So we ain't going to blast it that way anymore. But if you want to get involved, you can contact me and I'll send you the link. But as always, I want to introduce my brother and partner, Brother Satawi Jahi, who always brings us positive information. Brother Satawi, you got it from here, sir.
All right. Thank you, David. Thank you. Yes. Our reading for this evening from Daily Motivations for African American Success, written by Mr. Dennis Kimbrough, the author of Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice. October 19th, hands on. Quote, all mothers are handicapped. They only have two hands, unquote. Ilona McMillan, first woman executive director of the NAACP. Reading for the day. Opening ourselves to others is a beautiful pattern that we can weave. Lending a hand and an emphatic ear can lift the spirits not only of the person in need, but also of the person serving. We need to remind ourselves constantly that each of us can serve and through our service, we increase our self-worth. A man broke his left hand. One night as he laid in bed, his hand said, "Left hand, you are worthless. Everybody's glad it was you that was broken and not me. You're useless." His left hand asked, "Why are you superior?" His right hand replied, "Why, my owner cannot write a letter without me." His left hand said, "But who holds the paper on which he writes?" The right hand came back with, "Who swings the hammer?" The left hand asked, "Who holds the nail?" Then the left hand continued, "When our owner shaved yesterday, you held a razor, but his face was cut because I wasn't there to help. When our owner watch stopped, you couldn't wind it because I wasn't there to hold it. He can't even remove money from his wallet unless I'm there to help. Our owner can do very few things without me. We, Black Americans, African Americans, resemble both hands. We live in sometimes difficult world. We can do very little without the support of each other. Today, I will open myself up to others, and in turn, I will support my own." And that's what we do here at the National Black Unity News. We try to make sure that we have our left hand and our right hand coordinating and working together, because the left hand told the right hand, "Hey, I'm not useless. You can't do anything for the owner of this body without both hands working together." And if we apply that thought and that principle to real life, we would get so much more done. And I think that's part of what we're going to be discussing tonight in terms of Ice Cube and his contract with Black America. What is the intentions and how is that supposed to work? Are there any hidden things that's not being told to us through the propaganda machines that's putting the information out? So, we're going to dive into that here in a minute, and along with some other topics tonight. And before we do all of that, let me turn it back over to Mr. David Murphy. All right, Mr. Murphy, you got it from here, sir.
All right, thank you, sir. I appreciate that and the information that you share constantly. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot of things going on in this country right now. And I've never seen a time such as this before, where so many things are so critical now. But the thing is, America is being revealed. People all over the world are watching us and watching what's happening to us and around us. We had this pandemic, which we are the worst in the world, in dealing with it. America has been exposed through all the last year or so, where people have been demonstrating in the streets about police killing us and the injustices that has been done to us. And speaking of that, as most of you probably know, there's a viral thing going around about this brother Ice Cube and his contract with America. Now, I don't know who actually wrote this contract, and I didn't dig deep enough, but I did have the opportunity to peruse it, to go through each item. And when I came, this is just me personally speaking, it was nothing new, that's the same old stuff that we've been asking for. And I know maybe some of the younger generation, this may be new to you, but these things here, it's been asked and promised, never delivered. And so that's how, out of my curiosity, I just wanted to know what all the buzz was about. And I don't know at all because, like I say, just on the surface, reading the material about this contract, and the first thing is, my first question to myself was, uh, who wrote this contract, and how did they come to these terminology? And my question was, I said, I didn't sign in for it, and I guess I'm included in the Black community. So who gave these people the authority, to put this together to represent all of us? And so, that's just a few questions I have. But some things that came to surface. We had, before we go on air, we always have a little discussion about this and that. We have a discussion before the discussion. And some powerful things came up and reminded me. We have my sister Fran Allen on board. I see my brother Bill Gooden and a couple other people that's it's kind of political heavy from my point of view. They had dealt with this subject matter for a number of years. And I'm gonna start with you, Fran. We was discussing earlier about agreements. And I want you to share, with some of the things that you were discussing earlier about the agreements that have been made with America from your point of view.
Okay, so I did a little digging into the history, and I didn't have to go far to find part of what I was looking for. I know that from 1778 to 1871, that's 93 years, the U.S. federal government broke over 500 treaties, pacts, or contracts during that time with just the indigenous people of America, the Native Americans. Okay, 593 years, 500 treaties that they either entered into and signed and then didn't honor, or coerced other people to enter into these treaties. And then when everybody else signed, the US backed out. Or they got in it, they signed it, and then they decided that they either wanted to change the terms, and when they couldn't do that, they backed out and left other people hanging. But this is something that is ingrained in any kind of agreement with the United States. You cannot trust the United States to honor their word. It has been proven over and over and over and over and over again. So that's just one ethnic group. From 1871 to 2020 is 149 years. That's 149 years. Let me tell you, 45 has told over 20,000 lies since stealing the election in 2016 and sworn in 2017. That's less than 4 years, 20,000 lies. What? I just don't understand. After all the hatred, the disrespect, the devaluing, the minimizing, the ignoring, the discounting, the inconsideration, the lies, and the violence levied upon Black people in this country since our first arrival, why would we trust another empty contract? Why? Aren't we still waiting for our 40 acres and a mule?
Yep.
I'm still waiting for mine. I ain't going to get it, probably not, but I'm still waiting. But as far as Ice Cube is concerned, I think the concept is great. And I think we should still keep fighting, but I question what his motives are, because it looks good to be fighting for Black people, but you're going to take some hits. So what is the thing that you're getting that's making taking the hits worth it to you? You're trading something. You're not just doing it because you're just doing it. He's not on, he lives on a whole different level than we live on. His time is valued at a whole different rate than our time is valued. So this man has been through whatever he's been through, and he has seen an opportunity. And he has seen an opportunity to maybe create the illusion that, there's a way for us to fight for something, and we can do it through this contract, which I think is absurd, because the United States has yet to honor a contract that they've entered into. They have yet to do that. I just, how do we get chronic liars to honor their word? I don't know how you do that. You know, you can lead the horse to the water, as they always say, but you cannot force the horse to drink. So how do we get the chronic liars to tell the truth? How do we get them to honor their word? I don't know. I mean, that's a question that begs an answer that's far beyond my mental capacity. I just don't get it. And I worked in that environment alongside some real heavyweight people for a long time, and they would be so perplexed at how they would go into these meetings with one idea or one proposal on the table. And then after they got into the meeting, people just flipped the script and it was like it never happened. And they would just scratch their head like, what the hell just happened? Because folks don't honor their word. They say what they need to say to get you to the table. And then when they get you to the table, they yank your plate away. You don't get to eat. You hardly get to be in the room, but they make you think like, you're really going to be a, a, a real participant in the conversation. You're really going to be able to give some input. They got you to the table so they could tell you what they are going to do and what you're going to do to keep them from doing what they're going to do to you. I mean, there's more to this. There's more to this. Satawi said, follow the money. I agree. Follow the money. I don't think Ice Cube is in this just because he's a good guy. He probably is a really good guy. He probably does have, a true heart, but that's not the motivation. The motivation is some dough. He has a project that he needed funded and he found the funding. And this is what he's got to do in order to grab that funding. And it hasn't worked before, so it ain't like he's really taken a whole bunch of chances. I mean, Black folks aren't going to come together. Black people aren't going to unite. Black people aren't going to work together. Black people aren't going to support each other. We haven't for the last 2 centuries. Why will we start now? I think we start now because now is a new day. And we are waking up and we are realizing that if we keep doing the same thing we've been doing, we're going to keep getting or not the same nonsense that we've been trying to get and haven't. So we have to do something different. That is true. I don't know that this contract, though, is the way. I think the way is what I've been saying for years and years and years. It's critical for us to begin grooming the public servants, not the elected officials, the public servants. It is like night and day. You can let elected officials get in those seats. Those are the people that are chasing the check. They are chasing the check. They don't care about providing you with no service. They ain't trying to take care of their constituents. They're trying to go to the bank. They're trying to find a way to get a retirement because so many places don't offer that anymore. But you can get it in the federal government. You can get it in the state government. You can get it in the city government. So go sit in one of those seats and don't do nothing for 20 years. After all you got to do is get voted in once or twice. And then after that, the people will just keep voting for you, even if you don't do anything. You've seen it over and over and over and over and over again. You
All
really
right.
have.
Okay. Brother Satavi, I'm going to lead it back to you, sir, in that discussion.
Yes, sir.
Now, you came up with something that I wasn't even, because like I said, I didn't do much research on this, and it's obvious you did. So what did you come up with about this contract and the Ice Cube thing?
Well, a couple of things. One is, he has some good people behind it. I mean, Ambassador Andrew Young signed off on it. The person that wrote it is Derek Hamilton. But when you do the money trail, the money chase, is that Ice Cube's basketball league got bailed out by Steve Bannon, and that's a fact. So, and that's millions of dollars. I mean, so Ice Cube was hurt financially, even though he put this contract, he put the initiative together for this contract. But when your pockets ain't right, hey, you can have ulterior motives to go somewhere, because he said, he presented it to the Democrats, but they already have a plan that Biden has, and they told him they wouldn't be able to do nothing till after the election, which they can't, because they're not in office, they're not in power, they're not sitting in a position where even if they wanted to go along with his contract for Black America, the best they could do is say, well, when we get in office, we'll address it then, which is what they basically told him. But Trump claimed, hey, great, we include this in our platinum plan that we have for Black people, $500 billion, which, Black people ain't gonna see none of that money. It ain't that the platinum plan that Trump has, Roland Martin calls it the aluminum fall plan. So, there's a lot of hidden issues that are being addressed and floating around. And the thing is, I always say, follow the money. Where does the money lead you to? And so when you can document where the money goes, then you'll have a better understanding of people's motivation. Again, I don't think there's nothing wrong with the plan that Ice Cube wrote. I mean, I looked over the plan. There are some good points in there about criminal justice reform, police issues. I'm trying to remember. I sent it out. I'm trying to remember what all. It's like 13 different points in the plan, and all of them are valid points. The question is the timing of his plan, and even though he didn't say that he would support Trump, but basically it makes it look like that he's a Trump supporter by saying that that the Trump administration is going to give him some play. So, and hopefully people that's out there, except for, I don't know how this younger generation thinks. A lot of them, they probably remember him from his rap song, Niggas with an Attitude, did NWA, and figure, hey, well, if Cube going along with Trump and his people, then maybe we should too. So, because we do have a disconnection between generations, and I just hope that the younger generation doesn't get played.
Well, you just said a mouthful, because that's just what I was thinking. Because I always talk about propaganda. What a powerful way to put a spin on something. To use somebody of his status, who's supposed to be a soldier, front line, and have a lot of following. And then even, like I said, even if he didn't, even if the money trail wasn't there, even he going in there, just by him sitting down with Trump, do you know that says they take that and spin it and use it as a propaganda tool? Well, he's in our camp, whether he chose to or not, they got him now. Because once he crossed that line, they got him. So now they can say they can put a spin on this thing. He in it. So if he in it, you should be in it too. And that's exactly why I wanted to have this discussion, because, like I say, on my feed, I have a lot of friends. I'm almost to my limit on Facebook. And every 4 or 5 feeds, there's this Ice Cube thing showing up. So that the debate is already going on. The spin is already taking place. It's in full effect. You got us going against each other now. Just what they always have done, divide and conquer. And so, man, so I'm looking at this thing, man, and we keep falling into these traps. Like you say, and Fran and you, brothers, Tatavi, y'all hit on some 2 major things. That little carrot that they dangle in front of us all the time, that little bit of money to sell your soul. And Fran said something earlier, you can't make a deal with the devil. You just can't do it. They think you're going to get a fair shake out of it.
That's right. I think Cube thought he was just going to go and he was going to look the devil in the face, do something for Black people or whatever. And they took that photo and flipped it into, look, Ice Cube is all about us and you need to be about us too. And that may not have had anything at all to do with the conversation that he had, but he fell for the okie doke. He got hoodwinked, and now, but he didn't get hoodwinked for free. Don't think that. Okay. Don't think that. Unlike some of us, he did not get hoodwinked for free.
All right, somebody else trying to chime in. Who's that?
Yeah, this Dr. Pender. Listen, this thing has been going on for years. They've always used the media to manipulate us, and we just like clowns. Every time somebody show a camera, we want to jump in front of a camera in the newspapers. And here it is in the middle of an election system, even before. The only thing they want to do is get you in a compromising situation, and that's the ball game. You don't have to say anything. Just get you in a picture with somebody who's against you, and 90% of the people who are voting will look, maybe so, and that's what they want to do. They manipulate the mind. But this is something that's been going on. We did that in the 60s. They did that in the 50s and the 60s. The only thing they do, like Hillary Clinton came into the black community, and she go to the black churches and pull out a bottle of hot sauce. She get votes with that. But Hillary Clinton actually had a friend where her hero was Margaret Sanger. I said a whole lot by saying Margaret Sanger. Now, I used to get Christmas cards from Hillary and Bill when I was really into politics. And until I found out something about Hillary, like she's all right to a certain extent. She's a Democrat, but you have to look at behind the scenes. We are still an African-American people. Watch the media. The media will flip you. It's judo. That's all it is. It's judo. But I thought we were on this line today not to talk about problems, but let's get on with some solutions. And I'm going to back off, and as soon as you all get ready for it, I'll give you some solutions to one of the major problems that we have in the black community, and we as a newspaper can address this. Thank you.
All right, we're going to jump on some solutions, but anyway, go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, I just want to say this. First, let me say good evening, everybody. And I need to show this to Fran before I do anything.
Put it in the center because you can't see it.
Can you see it, Fran?
There you go.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure she saw that. But, listen, the reality is like, look, man, I think everybody got some good points. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I didn't go point by point, but I kind of read over the 13 points myself, and I didn't find too much wrong with the contract. My problem is this, is that, we can't never think that, black people always have to be smart enough, regardless of who offer anything. We need to find on every level that we can. You know what I'm saying? So I wouldn't give a damn. If I keep Trump to sign a contract, agreeing to that, I ain't got no problem with that. Black folks still need to be smart enough not to vote for no damn Trump. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we need to have a contract that could go to everybody. You know what I'm saying? I don't care about Joe Biden them not being in there yet. They can still sign contracts, say they're not with it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just like the national black newspaper. Look, everybody ain't gonna agree with us. We don't plan for everybody to agree with us. But the black people that we can get on board with us, then it's a plus. So I don't think that we need to just be saying, well, we just need to find a one level. Man, it's just like the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Marines. Hey, they fighting for the same damn thing, but they got all them different divisions, you know what I'm saying? So that they get attacked on different levels, you know what I'm saying? So I don't think that black folks need to be worried about how we going to attack. We need to attack. No, we need to attack on whatever level we can, because all of us not gonna do the same thing. So, I don't follow Ice Cube. I don't like rap music, but I'm not mad at black folks that made money from rap music, even though a lot of them helped to mess us up, because you got lots of young people going around singing that old shit, got my hand on the trigger, gonna kill me, nigga. You keep saying that to yourself, you don't believe that kind of stuff. You see what I'm saying? So what we need to do is I'm gonna agree with this. See, I'm gonna end with this because I know we don't have much time. I'm just like the brother, I don't care about what other people say. What solutions do we have to affect the change that we need to affect? You know what I'm saying? So we talking about what other people, man, other people got millions of dollars. They ain't a bit more thinking about us than man in the moon, but we're thinking about them. You see what I'm saying? So we spend our energy and our time talking about them. You think they're talking about us? Hell no, they're not.
Nope.
So we need to be talking about the solutions that we could create and the things that we could get done. And I think that's where we need to be at.
Well, that's a good idea. Since we turning this corner, and that's why I'm encouraging everybody right now. Pick up a copy of the National Black Unity News. There's a wealth of information in there that you need to read about, because Media, I'm going to say it time and time again, media is a powerful, powerful tool, but you got to be very extremely careful what you're listening to, or who's speaking to you, who's getting into your head. And because, like I say, a lot of people, man, they would turn you around and spit you out any kind of way they can if you would keep on listening. And like I say, we are very gullible people. I'm talking about anybody can be persuaded if you hear enough of it. You know, because we've been taking things since we were children. We heard things when we were children, and them things still over our heads right now because we never dealt with them. But since we have some media, we own less than 1% of the media, which we have a very small voice, but yet we still have a voice. And so since we do have a voice, I'm coming back to you, Dr. Pender. What do you suggest that we do as the people?
Let's unilaterally look at where the problems lies. Actually, in the 60s, someone brought up the fact that this thing called integration was caused by the black family. The black families were united at that particular time. We did things that would blow people out of the water. We found out that the black families that had the father who was working for himself, he was not digging ditches, he was working for himself. In the 50s and the 60s, most black men worked. So all of a sudden, this thing called integration, which is segregation was covered up, came along. We bit into it as though, hey, we're going to be just like white folks. So now here we got all this independence, and so we began to segregate it among ourselves. So then they said, well, we can get rid of this thing. So here we are in the 70s and 60s. They took things away from us to have us so we could depend on ourselves. They took this thing such as carpentry. They took electrical work. They took automotive work, things that you could do with your hands, things that you could work for yourself. And so now they give you a diploma, and you hang it on the wall, but you have to depend on them. So dependency is the problem. So now here we are in the 2000s, and if you look at the center of all this controversy, it was the church and the family. So right now we're looking at black families as a Pharaoh BC specialist. We're looking at the black family being unhinged. And what happened when they created this thing called welfare? The black woman could be there, but the black man could not. So therefore, the child grew up without a father. So now we're looking at the percentages. Yeah. So now you're looking at the percentages of black kids that came up without a father, trying to be a father. So therefore, you got a problem here. Is because he don't know how to be a father because the father was not there. Of course, they wanted him to be, as they would say back in the old days, they wanted him to be the horse. In other words, he had children all over the place because that was the way that society deemed black men to be. So here we are in 2020, and the family is under attack. So what happened from the biblical aspect, the first thing that God created was that family. That family, the Adam and Eve were family. So we have to go back to re-encourage and re-energize the family, because once the family have been really actually dispersed, you have nothing. Look at right now, the churches were at the center of the family because that was the thing. And since the 60s and the 70s and the 80s and the 2000s, and I'm giving you more of a problem than solution, but the solution would be to have a plan to encourage the black man, to encourage the black woman. And we have programs designed for this. We have programs where we can ask basically the children's responsibilities, neatness and bedtime and discipline and clothing and chores and all these particular things, that we can reinforce our families now that's going haywire because we put our dependency on that green stuff called MONEY. And that's where everybody's crazy about money. Money will not solve our problems. Our problems are more spiritual than it is money. The money, don't have to worry about it. You don't have to have any money to live, but you do have God. You have to have God to live. And that's what they've done. They've gotten you away from your creator and put you into their God, which is their green stuff, that legalized tender. And so what happened, we have to look at, let's reinforce the family with programs from our newspapers, the husband and the wife, we could put rules and questionnaires and activities and social life and allowances and manners and all these things together as the responsibilities of the husband, because a lot of husbands really don't know their responsibilities. They think that their responsibility is just get babies. And then some sisters, the only thing they think is, I'm gonna just get babies, because that television tells us actually how society will have us to be. Who controls the TV? We don't, they do. We don't even own, look, if America went brown tomorrow because everybody went to the bathroom and didn't flush the stool because we don't even own a toilet paper factory. So we have to go back to the family to enrich the family with something. And I'm quite sure we got enough professionals on here who can come together, and we'll work out a workable program where we can put it in our papers so that those who read the papers, who are mothers and fathers, can try to say, oh, this is something. Of course, they got programs out there, but why can't we do our own programs to help the family to enrich themselves?
Well, we have two already. The Center for Urban Families, that's Joe Jones' shop. A brother that has been through a lot and has pulled himself up and is very successful and has a very successful program. And also David Clement, he has a spot called the House of David, and it's Advocates for Fathers. And he works with young men also, trying to help them to overcome their own sense of worthlessness and showing them that they are valuable, they do have worth, and they must reconnect with their children, because their children are going to come up aimless if their fathers are not involved in their lives. And so, I mean, those are two that I know of, personally. That
how can we put those programs into our papers so that others can say, hey, listen, here's a place that we can go. See, I didn't know about this program until you just said so. So what happened, why don't we, put this in the newspapers? These are outlets that we can go to. And then to show these outlets also how they can get government grants to enhance their programs, because it's not going to just be in Baltimore. You want to do this all through the United States. Why can't we do this?
Well, let me say this on that note, because, we constantly seeking people who have solution-oriented information. So that's why it's extremely important for each one of us to reach out to people we know to have positive programs to come on board with us so that we can share that information. And speaking about that, there's a brother on here now, Leroy McKenzie, community service. Now, he constantly deal with authors and authors who have a lot of solutions to our problems. So, Brother Leroy, can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes, sir. Can you, like I said, because you constantly talking to people on a consistent basis all the time when people got all types of solutions. So what would be your suggestion how we can get out of this situation we're in?
Well, here's the thing. And we've got to, and I know y'all started off talking about Ice Cube and everything like that. I haven't read the whole thing about Ice Cube. I've listened to Roland Martin about it and his take on it, and he didn't necessarily agree with a lot of the things that Ice Cube talked about and stuff like that. And I don't know whether Cube was legitimate in what he felt and what he was trying to do, but he had to understand, and I'll get into the point which you asked about, David, in a second. But he had to realize the track record that Trump and his administration had. He met with, this was what, a couple years, was it in 2017, maybe even 2018, when he was running, and he had Jim Brown, Steve Harvey, who else was with him?
Kanye West.
Kanye West too, but he wasn't there at the same time. I think Ray Lewis might even been there too, if I'm not mistaken.
It was Ray. I think it was Ray.
Yeah, but he had them at Trump Tower, and he used them. He used them as a crowd. This is what this man does. This is what this man does. And he had to understand that going in, and understand he was trying to play the political thing and trying to show that he was meeting with both sides and this, that, and the other. But as I've said, there's certain people that you have to understand that you can't meet with because they have no genuine intent on listening to you. So why don't we sit down and even talk to somebody that I know you aren't even listening to me, and there's even the possibility of you wanting to use me to try and do exactly what he did. He did the same thing with Ice Cube that he did with Dr. Fauci. He took a little snap, a thing of what Dr. Fauci said, pushed that thing, tried to flip it to try and use to his advantage and say what he thought was going to make him look good. So that's him. That you know who he is who he is. That's it. His administration is what his administration is. The focus should be on getting them out. Now, all of the other stuff is just noise, is what I call it. It's just noise.
Yeah.
That need to be talked about and this, that, and the other. Now, as far as what we need to do as a community and those that we can do on this level, we need to talk about resources. Like you mentioned, Brother David, the National Black Unity News is a resource. It is a resource. It's a powerful media resource, just like Roland Martin's show is. That's only media, Black media that we have that's out there. And it must be used to its maximum extent. That means connecting with those people that have answers, that have solutions, like Brother David said. If they're community organizations that do the things that we know that we're, that have some of those solutions, we need to connect with those people, do an article on them in this newspaper, do an interview with them. Like Brother David said, I do interviews with authors, but it's more than just doing interviews with authors. It's about shining a light on people that you would not ordinarily hear from, and you give them the opportunity and the platform to be able to put their message out there. And that's the important thing, is getting the message out there, because if you put that message out there, you put that mission out there, you put that motivation out there, and the movement, you create those things that become solutions where people can galvanize behind those things. That's what the elders, and I call you all that were a part of the 60s civil rights movement, that's what y'all were about. Y'all were about galvanizing and getting that message out there, however it was going to get out there. You used any means to be able to get it out there. And what happens is you're able to collectively say, this person can provide this resource. One person, let's say, can provide the resource of the money. We have another person another group of people that can finance, that can provide the resource of the media, getting the word out there. You have another group that may be able to do the social media, bring the young generation in that, because they love doing the social media thing. You put them into use to be able to do something like that. And when you utilize all of those resources, or you put all of those resources together, then what you do is you become stronger. Malcolm said it best when he said, we're not outnumbered, we're out organized. The one thing that I've learned when he said that, I'm like, man, he is so right. We don't organize. We're not structured. We're not organized in what we need to do. And as long as and that's their plan, is to keep us unorganized. Because as long as we're not organized, and we're not unified and heading in the direction that we're supposed to be heading in, they can always keep us doing exactly what we're doing. We're arguing about Ice Cube and whether or not he's, his 10-point agenda or whatever is better than this one, and Black folks not trusting one another. That's I think one of the biggest things we have amongst each other is trusting each other. We don't trust each other, so therefore that becomes an issue. And we have to, and I wrote this down, I call it the empowerment agenda, which is where you all started talking about it, which is the family. That becomes the structure. This miseducation of the woman and the miseducation of the man is the detriment of our families and our community as a whole. Once we get that mindset straight, and that's where it begins, and that begins with educating these men, educating these women on what roles that they play as men, what role you play as women, and take all of the things that we need to unlearn, I call, and to read and to learn those things that we need to learn and to understand about. The government isn't going to save us, y'all. They're not. It's up to everybody that's on here. It's up to us collectively to be able to come together and put those solutions together and say, you know what? No, we're not letting any other community come in here. Just like he talked about building the walls, we have to say, look, nobody else is coming in our community telling us what we need to do or can do. It's up to us. These are the things that we're putting in place. These are the things that we know we need to do. The blueprint is already there. We have the issues. We got the problems, and we have solutions. We have viable solutions. So what's next is the implementation. What are we going to do to implement them? So that's that. The education part we just talked about. The businesses, entrepreneurs, that's where reaching out to those businesses that we know that we have that are part of the National Black Unity News that are in there, or even the partners that we have, them coming on board to be able to do their part in it, whether it's monetarily and all those things. And then the church. The Black church is the foundation of our community. What can we do with the Black church that will be able to assist us in being able to get those, to meet the needs that we know that are there in our community? That's, to me, that's it in a nutshell, and how we're able to do what we need to do and not expecting someone else to come in and do it for us. Yeah, the government will play their role in what they need to do and everything like that, but we have to count on us more so before we count on anybody else. Every other ethnic group does but us. We're the only ones that argue and fuss about what everybody is doing for us when we can do it ourselves. Trust me, we have moved so much further from the 60s, where we have all of the resources that we need within ourselves. It's just a matter of us using.
Well, it's the old saying, God bless the child who has his own. And you know, we have our own, but like you said, but one of the things that we kind of slacking is pulling our resources together for the collective whole. And I always had a vision. And see, each and every one of you, those of you who's interacted with the National Black Unity News, you're a part of that vision, because I see so many powerful people that's come together for the sole purpose of uplifting us as a people, but we haven't even begun to scratch the surface. Because like I said, we all know people out there who's doing wonderful and great things in our community. So we all been around the block once or just like Brother Mackenzie just said. He interviews people all the time, and so do I. I talk to people all the time doing wonderful and great things. But how do we bring all of these resources together? And there's one thing, we have a director. That's one way of doing it. But I was just listening to you all when you were saying solution oriented. Maybe, just maybe, if we pull our resources together and have some seminars and workshops under these type of formats where we can open it up, you know, and bring these people in. If they all can't get into this publication, we can bring them into formats like this to share those information, because it's like a two-way street. If you have something and you know that it can benefit other people, and you know that God has blessed you with these ideas and services that can enhance people's life, then you need to share it. But how do you do that? Because a lot of people don't know just how to do that. So that's where we come in at, because we have formats, we have tools in place, but we're just a one operation. But there's so many other things that can be done. We have people like Brian Street on here who's starting his own channel, where he can bring all these like-minded people. Brother Mackenzie's already interviewing people on a consistent basis who wrote books about certain subject matters, how people can, you know, enhance it, like Dr. Pender, who's been out there 50, 60 years on the front lines of working with the people. I see Dr. Bishop Soleil is online with us too. This brother is heavy into the elections and helping people so that they can be accountable in elections. Brother Soleil, while we have you here, we were talking about earlier about this Kanye West thing, but we talking about solutions now. And I see Brother Omar is with us too. And Brother Soleil, you would like to share a few words, sir, about some solutions-oriented information, how we as a people can come together to make a difference, not only for ourselves, but for all of us.
Absolutely, and my apologies for being late. I had another meeting, a Zoom meeting with another church group, and the good news is this: there are brothers waking up, and sisters, Sister Helen, there are brothers and sisters who are waking up, and that's what has to happen. We have to wake up, and as Brother Mackenzie was saying, we have to stop looking for people to become the white knight, because that white knight ain't coming. Okay, let me just tell you, okay, they want it all. They don't want some, they want it all. Okay, so we don't come together strategically, plan to affect commerce, That's what they understand. When you affect commerce, then they listen. Okay, so how do we affect commerce? And all of us on this call have heard that. We've seen that. White community, the dollar passed 8, 9 times. Chinese community, the dollar passed 10 times. Okay, Hispanic community, the dollar passed 6, 7 times. Black community, the dollar passed 1 time. 1 time.
6 hours.
1 time. We have to start supporting each other with our commerce. And so one of the things I think as we talk about solution oriented and a group that I am connected to here in Louisiana that does prison reentry work, we just did a virtual conference. So we could do a virtual conference and have folks on this conference bringing solutions to African-American, Black communities throughout the United States to say, look, it is time to pull together and become one. We did this a long time ago, and we came out of a terrible situation. We got some success. We got educated. We got to the suburbs, 2 cars, 2 dogs, nice little crib, and we got comfortable. And we stopped leaving the gate open to bring somebody else through. We got to reopen that gate and not only set a pathway for ourselves, but then leave breadcrumbs so people can follow. And so that to me is where I'm spending the rest of my time and my energy. And one of the things I do, and I work with churches, all kinds of churches. I just came from the Seventh-day Adventist Church Saturday, and I told them, we have been sold out in the economic education community of America. We've been taught to get a job, most of us. Go to college, get a job. I teach people to create a business. Create a business. Now, whether you have the mindset to pull that off, to bring it to full fruition or not, even in the process of learning how to do that, you're going to be more marketable and more beneficial to an employer. But we got to start teaching people how to create businesses. And then we got to have resources to put behind those businesses, to launch those businesses. And there are resources out there. Many of you know them. Some of you don't. Banks have money that they're supposed to put back into the community. It's called Community Redevelopment Act, CRA. Every bank has money that they're supposed to put back into the community. So we have to move in that space. Don't, what did Frederick Douglass says, power concedes nothing without a demand. Stop asking and demand, okay, that they put economic development in our communities, in our hands, because we know how to take care of our community.
Okay. Brother Omar, you want to share something? Just unmute yourself, sir. Yeah, I muted you out because there was a lot of background noise. You just have to hit that little button down at the bottom of your computer where the microphone is and unmute yourself. Okay, when he come back, when he get in. Anybody else would like to share? There you go.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Basically, I, apologize for being late. I'm very interested in what y'all had to say, but I missed most of it. I enjoyed the last gentleman there. He was right on target. He's right. And what we have to do really is realize that we got a lot of work to do.
Mm-hmm.
You got to stop asking and start being, That's the whole difference. You don't have to have a lot of fun. You just have to have a direction of what you're going to do with the funds, for your community and your family and everything else. Because we've been doing it with a little bit of fun. That's why we've been so creative as a people. We came up with a lot of inventions, a lot of the inventions that we take pride in as a people, as a country, you know, and as the world, most of us, our African American people, the ones who really discovered that because of the situation that we were in, you know. So, you know, we got to go that way. We got to focus on something that's going to get us out of the situation, can stop being who we've been for the last 200 or so years. You know, after freedom and all of that, we still haven't really got the right spirit to be independent as a people and as a person. And even if you, I mean, I don't think that we should even try to get anything from the government or situations like that, people that's trying to help us, because usually it don't really help you anyway. You know, it sounds good to the ears, but when you still back in the same situation and don't have that drive and that spirit that you're supposed to have, you know, to yourself up and to develop something on your own. You know, if you don't have that spirit, you're going to be the same person. You can have a big time job, but your mentality is still tainted from all of those years of being under a spell. And one of the greatest things I saw on a billboard where it said, if you had a white man as your savior and God for 400 years, if you took that same white man and put it over any people, they're going to be subservient to the picture. And that's, I think, the situation. You know, you got that mentality, you know, it's just, you know, I mean, even if you took a white man and put a black man, somebody like Idi Amin, and made him the God and savior of the whole earth, hey, what do you think is going to happen to his mind and the generations that come behind him? See, I got like 2 or 3 generations behind me right now. And the same situation that I saw in the neighborhood when I was growing up, most of us are in the same situation. Because the thing in your life that's so pressing is what was drilled into you over many generations. I'm talking about 3 generations. I've been crying tears, you know, because I see a situation where, you know, we got the same mode. You know, we haven't got out of that idea of God being a man or the savior of the whole earth being a man, and that it's not. And this is not a religious talk. This is just common sense I'm trying to say. You know, that kind of, I mean, if you had a bully in your house over one generation of children, you can mess them up like the Boy Scouts. Some of them kids, some of them men right now are not the same because of all of the damage that was done to them. And they use all kinds of psychology, and this is where we got to go. We got to go with psychology. We don't have the education that these people had, but we still got common sense. And that's the education that was put in you when you was born. You was born intelligent with immune systems and born to think on right and not start being corrupted. You know, I mean, if we just go back to our own self and dig down in our own self and forget about all of these things they got going out here now, because you can see, I mean, look at the people that follow the Confederacy. People that don't know nothing but that. Right here in Maryland. You can go right out here in Harford County, they got a shootout there called Catch a Nigga Road. So, you know, you got, you know, it's real. The psychology is powerful. The influences that we have, that we rely on, like Halloween and other ideas that scrutinize you, that make you move in a certain direction, making you think God is a man. These high rises and all this stuff man did that, man, yeah, but he used all of God's stuff, all the stuff that was already made, and we made out of the same stuff, and we had the same ability to create something even more enlightening and more reaching to the psyche, because it's all a sign. It's a sign to make your mind come alive, to make your soul, your soul is the thing that's in your body that was put in there, and they can't change that. They can't do that. The influences can't change that because it has its own consciousness. If we would listen to our own self, most of the time we'll stay out of trouble. So we got a lot of work to do. And economics is, to me, one of the main ones. Like the brother was saying, I agree with him totally what he was saying. We got to come up. We got to go in business. We can't keep relying on. We got people that come from all the way 10,000, 6,000 miles, come over here and set up in our neighborhood, and we scared to go out the house.
That's right. And take the money out of our community and go into theirs and build up better ones.
Yeah, they do that because they have the mindset to do that. They ain't had the same mindset that we got. We satisfied working for somebody else being over us because they supposed to be over us. That's the way we was raised. And we got, like I said, we got 40 or 50 generations, more than that, hundreds of generations of our people have came under that type of logistics and psychology. And we, it's very, if you got to be born again. Like, the good Christian brother said, you got to be born again. You got to be willing.
You got to renew your mind,
To change your mind. You got to say, no, I ain't going for this stuff no more. I'm going to stop eating that. I'm going to stop doing this. I'm going to stop doing that.
All right, Brother Omar, we run out of time, so you want to close it up?
Yeah, I love you. I close it up with a prayer.
No. Your conversation, because we got to check this thing down.
I like to talk. Usually
we all do. We all do.
After I hear you, I got to talk a little bit.
All right. But I appreciate, matter of fact, I appreciate everybody on who has input, because, like I say, from where I sit, I believe I'm one of the wealthiest men on earth, and looking at y'all even wealthier from my standpoint of view, because y'all innovators, y'all just not talkers, y'all doers, y'all just not sitting here just what we should do, what we might do, y'all done it. And so, and see, y'all are roadmaps, as far as I'm concerned, and we need to let that light shine, because others, man, because like I say, they in darkness and they don't know their way out. That's especially our young folks, and that's why we have to step up. We better not talk about sitting back retired and giving up, but all that wisdom and knowledge that's been blessed with us. And so, in closing, I'm gonna give you each, if any one of y'all, just a minute, because we run, we out of time. Just a minute, if you want to have any closing statement, because your voice, as far as I'm concerned, is extremely important, and we don't know who's listening to us, who's waiting for the information that's coming from your soul, from your spirit, from your mouth, that you might not only can enhance it, like you might even can save their lives. So I'm gonna start with you, Fran, in closing.
Okay, well, this is where I'm going to go. We all have something that's valuable. God gave us all talents. God gave us skills. God gave us abilities. We are capable. We are a capable people. We are capable individuals. We have to stop giving somebody else so much more credit for what we do, what we think, what we say, what we know, because we take those things to a job and we share all of those wonderful talents, skills, and abilities with somebody else, and they give us, a couple dollars an hour. And then they go off and take what we've given them and make millions. So value yourself, value your own knowledge, stop minimizing your own value, understand and own that you truly are great. And you have a greatness within you that will only be discovered if you go digging inside yourself to find it. It's there. It's there. Stop taking the easy road. Go dig inside yourself and come out with that amazing thing, that $1 billion idea, billion with a B. You got a $1 billion idea in there somewhere, but you got to go looking for it to find it. And we all have one. We all have one.
All right. Okay. Thank you, sister. And
Yeah.
Dr. Pender, any closing words? Dr. Pender? You have to unmute yourself. Okay, we're going to move right. Anybody else before we shut this thing down? I know everybody have a lot to share, but anybody else would like to share before we close up?
Yes, David.
Yes, Kathleen, come on in.
Yes. Good evening. This is something that I always say. Anything that we are thinking about doing, we need to make sure that we include our youth. It starts with the young children. And just keep in mind, I'm in many groups, but I read to children at the 2nd and 3rd grade level, volunteer and do that. That's the level that those in federal government, the administrators, use the 3rd grade level scores to plan and for upcoming forecasting to build our federal prisons. Just keep in mind our youth. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Oh, wow, that's important. Vernon, would you like to share anything, young man?
I'm just privileged and happy just to be here and to thank everyone. I'm very inspired by the conversation tonight. And there's a lot of great things been said, and I just feel honored, and motivated. That's all I have to say.
All right, thank you, sir. Bishop Soleil, any parting words, sir?
Thank you, Brother David. I appreciate the conversation. I appreciate the brothers and sisters here. And if we stay connected, there is nothing we can't do.
All right. As a brother, and I'm not too familiar, brother Abu Jamal, would you like to share? Okay.
No, sir. I'm just listening, observing, and taking notes, sir.
Okay. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
All right. So anybody else, we're going, Greg, shut this thing down because, like I said, we'll be back here tomorrow evening with our host, Fran Allen, with the National Black Unity News podcast. This podcast comes on every Monday, and we have one on Tuesdays as well. And we invite each and every one for your input because this is the time right now. This is serious stuff. This is not a drill. I always say this is warfare. This is life and death. And we have that power. We have the power of the tongue. We have the power of our pen. We have the power within us. We have the power of our experiences in life. And there's a host of people out there waiting on us, want to hear that wisdom and knowledge that God has blessed you with. And so, and just like we were talking about earlier, this Ice Cube thing, young man, he's still a young man, as far as I'm concerned, a whippersnapper. But they see they will continue to fall into traps if we don't guide them. And so we must need it because I remember if it wasn't for guidance, I think I wouldn't be here myself. But again, from where I sit around so many great-minded people, great-spirited people that are doers, not just talkers. And I know, I have no doubt in my mind, we have everything we need. God has blessed us with everything we need. The only thing we we need to deal with each other. We need each other. We are one. And we need, all of us need to bring something to this table because so all of us can feed upon it. But like I say, our children, Kathleen said it best. Our babies need us, man, and if not, there's all types of traps from the schoolyard to the prison yard. They already got it lined up for us. They take our brightest, guide them all the way to school system, and put them into their system and take their mind and where I'm going at. So we have to do better because we can do better. But again, I thank each and every one of you for this podcast this evening. This thing is going viral. And if you want a copy of it, you can just go to my page or call me if I can send you a copy of it. But we need to share. We need to share information because information is power if you use it in the right way. So I'm going to say good night to each and every one of you. And I hope that you can come on this week because, like I said, we need to start talking about all of these problems. They are our concerns, but we need to come up with some solutions. Just like the National Black Unity News is solution oriented. So we thank each and every one of you. Thank you and good night.
Don't forget to vote. Early voting starts October 26th in Maryland. If you haven't dropped it off or mailed it in and you want to go like I am, I'm going to go stand. I don't care if the line is around the block. I'm going to vote. And don't forget, October 26th till November 2nd.
All right. Good night, y'all.